How much in each group? Part 2. The quickening. I can't. It's too much. All right, well, let's get past the meme. Let's practice dividing fractions in different situations. So I can find the amount in one group in different real-world situations. So make sure you have today's date, your I can, and you are ready to move on. All right, let's do a little warm-up of greater than 1 or less than 1. So, and each of these decide if they're going to be greater than 1 or less than 1 without calculating. First one here is, more than 1, right? Because you would multiply by 4, basically, because you're cutting this into 4 equal parts, which gets you, 2. So this one is more than. What about here? 1 divided by 3/4. Again, since we're dividing by something that's less than 1, we're going to get something that is more than we started with, and 1 is what we started with, so it's going to be more than what we had. Oops, let's make that into graders. Yes, there it is. And what about here? 2/3 times 7/8. Divided by 7/8. Well, this is going to be pretty close to 1, isn't it? When you're talking about 7/8, which is nearly 1, but when you multiply by the inverse or multiply by 8 and then divide by the 7, you're going to really get something pretty close to 1. Should be slightly more. Let's see here. 16 thirds divided by 7. Yeah, that's going to give us 16 21st. So it actually is less. I was wrong. Should have been a less than. What about here? 2 7/8 divided by 2 3/5. Well, this is smaller than this here. So it is going to be close to 1, right? But it should end up being just a little bit more than 1. Let's see if I'm right this time. Let's see, 16 and 7 makes 23/8 times, let's see, 10 plus 3 is 13. So 5/13. Ugh, this one's gross. It's got weird big numbers. I'll see. 20. Carry the 2. Yeah, so just barely. I was right. Yay! Hey, let me have the one. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about a couple water containers. So here we have 2 different water containers, one on the left, one on the right. After looking at the pictures, Lynn says, I see the fraction 2/5. I see the fraction 3/4. So here we have what? 2/5 of the second container filled, right? Because we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, 5 lines here at the top, so 2 out of the 5. Here we're talking about 3/4. A little difficult to see, but you can see that this is 3/4 of this entire thing. So here we're talking about 2/5 of this container. We're not sure how many are in the dispenser right now, but the 3/4, it is 3/4 of a liter, because you can see that we've got our liter numbers here on the side, our milliliters. So it's 3/4 of a liter. So how many liters fit into the water dispenser? Well, we had 3/4 of a liter fits into 2/5 of the other. Well, if we think about it, whatever is the entire container, whatever is that entire container, times 2/5 of it ends up giving us 3/4 liter, right? So we can think of it as, for division wise, 3/4 divided by the 2/5 gives us our answer. Well, let's go ahead and multiply by 5 first, since that's our denominator. Again, if you want to do keep, change, flip, that's fine. 5 times 3/4 gives us 15/4. And now we are going to divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2, which gets us 15/8. I'm going to write it up here. So the entire thing should hold, 1 7/8 liter. Does that make sense from what we talked about before? Well, think about it. 3/4 fills 2 of them, and another 3/4. So you're talking about 6/4, 1 1/2. Then you're talking about half of this 3/4 is what you get for 1/5. So half of 3/4 is 3/8. So 3/8 plus the 4/8 that we had left over from adding these 4/5 together makes sense. That would be 1 7/8 liters. Again, when you're going through and solving these, if you want to go through and do the keep your first fraction, change, flip, you can. But really, especially if you're even having just a little struggle with this, taking this number, multiplying it by the 5 whole number, and then dividing it by the 2 whole number, or making it into that unit fraction, going to be a lot simpler, especially until you get really strong with it. All right, we're going to do just a couple in this next section since we're still on video here, clearly. Let's see here. Let's do the odd ones. We're going to do just 1 and 3 right now. So Jada bought 3 1/2 yards of fabric for $21. How much did each yard cost? We're going to do a multiplication and division. So how much did each yard cost? Well, if we talk about the 3 1/2 yards times however much it was per yard should give us our $21, right? Division would be that $21 divided by the 3 1/2 yards. That will give us how much per yard. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this into an improper fraction. So that would be, 6 plus the 1 is 7. So now you're talking about 21 divided by 7/2. Multiply by 2 here. So we have 21 times 2 gets us our 42. 42 divided by 7. It's 42, not 47. 42 divided by 7, Mr. Palin. Come on now. Should give us $6 per yard of fabric. Okay. Let's not do number 3. Let's skip to number 4. That way I've got better space to write in. We got 5/4 gallons of water fills 5/6 of a bucket. How many gallons of water to fill the entire bucket? Well, what about the multiplication here? We don't know how many gallons the bucket can hold, but we do know if we take the number of gallons that the bucket can hold and multiply it by 5/6, I will get 5/4. Likewise, if I take that 5/4 and divide it by the 5/6 of the bucket that we've got filled, that'll give us back to what our original bucket was. So I'm going to take the 5/4 times 6, which is going to give me 30/4. Now I need to divide by or multiply by 1/5. Divide by 5 or multiply by 1/5 gets me 30/20, which is the same as 3/2, which is 1, and 1/2 gallons go in the bucket. Why does that work out? Well, think about it. We had 5/6 of the bucket filled up. That was 5/4 gallons, or 1 1/4 gallons. We don't know what the whole bucket was. If we find out what's in the entire bucket and we multiply it by 5/6, we get 5/4. So if we take the 5/4, we divide it up by the 5/6. That'll give us back to our original number we need, which is 1 1/2. And I can prove that too. If I take 1 1/2 or 3/2 and multiply it across here, I'm going to get 15 for a numerator, and then I'm going to get 12 for a denominator. Well, 15/12 reduces down to 5/4, so yay! All right, we're going to jump cut a little bit here, get to the end, because those other parts do so much better in class together. So we may try to get that done in class. So if we're talking about a whole trip is 2/3 of a trip, I'm sorry, how long is a whole trip if 2/3 of the trip is 4/5 of a mile? So what's the 1 here? Well, the whole is the entire distance of the trip, right? We know that we have 2/3 of that whole. So 2/3 of that whole gets us our 4/5 miles. So as a multiplication sentence, it's going to look like this, because we know the group that we've got, what part of it we've got. We know how much of the fraction of the group we have, but we don't know what the total is. As a division, we're going to take that 4/5, hopefully draw it better than that, and divide it by the 2/3 of the trip that we've gone to give us our final answer. So here, if we write it like this is more looking at if 2/3 was the distance, what fraction of that distance gives us 4/5. It's still going to end up being the same digits there, it just gets read differently. How could you set up a tape diagram? Well, we know in these 2/3 we've got 4/5, right? Well, that means that each one of these is 2/5. This has to be a 2/5. So the entire trip is, 6/5 or 1 1/5. Again, these tape diagrams are just a way to help you solve, to help you think about. Because if you think about it, if you look up here, you would multiply by the 3, which would get you 12/5. Multiply by 1/2 or divide by 2, that's going to give you tenths for a denominator. So you're talking about 12/10, which is 1 2/10, which reduces down to the 1 1/5. So numerically, it still works out the same. It's just for some people, tape diagrams can really help you with your understanding and efficient solving, or at least your organizing with it, okay? All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.